they're open. So we're gonna chat. I'm gonna toss this back to you while I get everything situated over here. But we're back up and running.
Oh, okay. I just put a piece of popcorn in my mouth. Hold on. Excuse me. Alrighty. So, did I hear right that y'all don't want immigrants to have due process? Did I hear that right?
That's exactly what they're saying. That's exactly what they're saying.
I thought I heard that. I was half asleep, and I thought I heard that. I thought it was a dream, but apparently it wasn't. So why would we not give people due process? Like how does that cost a lot of money? Like on one hand, what would make America any different from any other country, any country that is like a Russia or a China? I thought giving people due process is what makes us different. It's what makes this America. We show people we are the what is it, the beacon, the light on the hill, or something like that. We show people how this democracy thing works. So we're taking that away from people. Is that what we're gonna do? TC, where light skin go? TC, nope. Okay. Oh, there he goes.
We're muted. We
Hey,
can't speak.
Scott.
We've been trying to come off mic
We
for
were
the last
muted.
5 minutes. We've
Oh
been trying
my
to
Forget it,
speak.
man. Answer
God.
a question, TC. Get over it.
What's the question?
And paint your banister.
What's the question?
My question to you, TC, is do you think that if you are illegal and you've broken the law because you're illegal, should we spend money to take them through due process?
What's due process?
Leave it right there. Just leave it right there.
No. I mean, if we're going to talk about due process, we should at least define due
Well,
process.
then
What's due
let's
process?
talk. Let's talk about due process. What is due process?
That's what I'm asking you.
Why are you asking me? I'm trying to get the conversation going.
Y'all not going to be able to talk about due process if you can't even define it, folks.
Who's talking about? I'm asking a question to the
No,
room.
I'm suggesting that
I
I'm
just got
taking
here, so I don't
I
know.
know you're moderating the conversation. I'm trying to
Yeah.
provoke a response. I'm not necessarily talking to you, chat. I'm
Oh, okay.
just trying to provoke a response. If we're going to say that illegal immigrants are entitled to due process, you have to define due process. What is due process?
Due
Because due
process
process to one
under
person
the law.
might mean something completely different than due process to another person.
Here's the definition: due process, a fundamental principle of fairness in law, ensures that individuals are treated fairly by the government and are not deprived of life, liberty, or property without following established legal procedures and protecting their rights. It encompasses both procedural due process, following specific legal steps, and substantive due process, protecting fundamental rights. Now go.
Okay. All right. So, in that long soliloquy of a definition, you had the core tenets of due process. A man cannot be deprived of his life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Now, some people refer to that as substantive due process, which gives them the right to appellate proceedings and hearings and formal hearings and
You got them
procedural
mixed up. That's
hearings and
procedural.
there's a lot of definitions of what people think are entitled to. Due process could just be as simple as giving somebody a notice, the ability for them to respond to that notice, a fair hearing, and bam, that's it. You're done. I think what people, I think when Americans use the argument that, oh, you're not giving illegal immigrants the right to due process when you're kicking them out of the country after having engaged in criminal activity or are criminals themselves, I think what you're suggesting is they haven't met your standard of what you consider to be acceptable due process. But something as simple as a notice that you're getting kicked out and the right to basically respond to that notice in a fair hearing, with you present or not, because let's just be honest, you could have a hearing without you being present, 100%. That's due process. So Yeah, sure. Let's give it to them. Let's give illegal immigrants due process. But what is the context under which that due process happens? That's up for the determination of the executive, unless it's
It's never
spelled
the
out in legal documentation. It's left up to the discretion of the executive, which in this case still happens to be Trump.
Well,
it's
So
these
ultimately
TC,
not
I
protection.
think
left
Hold
to
the
on.
the
Let me read some
discretion.
more. Stand by. These protections guaranteed by the Fifth and 14th Amendments include the right to be informed of charges, the right of legal counsel, and the right to present evidence in one's defense. While expedited removal process for certain individuals may limit some of these rights, due process still applies in most immigration cases. So you say executive branch, but it says here is guaranteed by the Fifth and 14th Amendments. Are you?
Yeah. Do you know what the Fifth and the 14th Amendments are? The Fifth Amendment is one's right not to have to testify against himself. So I mean, that's just like, that's the Fifth Amendment. The 14th Amendment is basically securing the rights of individuals to have equal protection under the law. So I mean, there's no definition, definitive like examples that you could give me of what's considered fair due process.
There
Like I
is.
said,
There's four cases.
Hearing,
We talked
I
about
was done.
Yickwo versus
One mic
versus
on Patty,
Sharpen.
please.
We talked about Wong Wing versus United States. We talk about whoever was up on the stage earlier talked about Zendaya's versus Davis, and there's Pyler versus Doe. So there are legal procedures. There's legal precedents that states exactly what due process looks like for a illegal immigrant. So what's next?
Even Ryers versus INS also states it as well, further confirming Plyler v. Doe, stating that even an illegal immigrant has a right to a hearing before a judge. So, I mean, like, we can run circles around all of this to go to a right wing rhetoric if we want to, but I feel like it's just willful ignorance at this point.
so I feel like if we're gonna debate legal concepts, we should at least have some scholarship on what we're debating. I can listen to everybody just like pull quotes out of Google or Chat GPT from case law and all this other stuff. But if you guys are going to be quoting the Constitution and quoting, things that like due process and Fifth Amendment and 14th Amendment, we should at least have a basic general understanding of what these things are that we're describing, at the very least. The
well
14th
TC,
Amendment and the Fifth
I have a
Amendment does
question
not
for you because I think
guarantee anybody to any type of due process. Like I said, the 14th Amendment gives you equal protection of the law. Fifth Amendment allows you not to testify against yourself.
And then you
That's it.
got the Aliens Enemy Act
Right. And the Alien
applies
Enemies
to
Act,
the that's 13.
Alien Enemies Act allows for there to be a swift removal from the country in the event of some form of invasion
And what's
by
the
a
legal
warring country.
justification for the Aliens Enemy Act?
What do you mean? What's the legal justification? It
You
was
have to
passed
have
by
legal
Congress.
justification to fucking use it. What is the legal justification?
The legal justification is that the prerequisites are there. You have to be
And
there
what's
has
the
to be an
prerequisites?
invasion.
Because the Supreme Court stated otherwise. So what is the legal justification since now you're a
Stated
Supreme
otherwise
Court
to what?
justice?
The Supreme Court stated otherwise to what?
They said that they will get due process. That's what they said. Maybe you haven't been paying attention to the news
So,
lately,
so,
but it
so
was, what
again,
was it?
they didn't say anything different than what I just said, which
No,
was
you
that
just
the
No,
person
said
is
neither
that
entitled
they
have
to
have
a
I.
justification. I said, what is the legal justification? There's no legal justification for not giving these people due process.
but you again, you're
So
TC,
the
using
reason
terms.
why
You're
do we
using
use the
terms,
Alien
Patty.
Enemy Act? Why did we
You're
use
using
it?
terms that are
Why did
loosely
we
thrown
use
around
it?
like due
When you're
process. You've
talking
not
about it,
defined
why
due
did we use
process.
it, sir?
Again, due
Why
process
did
could
we
be a
use it in the
notification and a
past?
hearing.
And what is the controversy behind using that act? Why did we use it? You're speaking on something, right? You always do this, TC. You speak on stuff because you may have been the one to chat GPT it or been the one to Google it. And you don't have an
I actually went to
understanding about
school
half
for
the
it, so
stuff
I
you're
don't know
talking
why you're.
about.
I don't
Just
know
like you
why you're
try to
saying
tell
Chat
me about
so
my
GPT.
profession, 14 years of a profession that you have no idea. So why don't you speak on something you know about?
This sounds
Jay
personal,
was
which
speaking
doesn't
earlier.
sound
He's a
scholarly.
lawyer, right? Jay, you're a lawyer?
I
Yes,
He
pack
sounds
lawyers
like
up
he's a
for
lawyer.
lunch
I think
He's
TC
all
might
the
be
time.
at
he's
least
a jailhouse lawyer.
TC is not an
TC
attorney.
is
He's
not
a
a
dorm
lawyer.
he's not
lawyer.
a lawyer.
He's a
What
college
is he?
dorm lawyer. You
You
know
don't
those
have to
kids
be
that
a
live
Oh,
under
lawyer
the
to
he's a.
bridge
make a
don't
Hold
know
on,
living.
enough?
Oh,
TC.
he's just a
Whoa,
dorm
listen,
guy.
listen.
TC's just a
Marquito,
dorm
all these
guy.
Hold on,
people
real
coming
quick.
off their
TC,
mic
hold
talking
on just
about
real quick,
TC.
man.
What TC
Can
is?
I take
This
over
shit
Hold on
TC's
just real quick.
Thought he was at
Please
least
don't,
a
conversation
Varnish. You
here?
sound
paralegal.
just as
He
bad
sounds
as
like
him.
at least a paralegal.
Hey,
Here's the thing
Jamal,
about
Okay,
here's the thing.
He don't even
Let me
he
break the
sound like a
secret on
here
parent.
we
lawyers,
go.
guys.
The
Let me,
5
kind
let me
you
against
buy
break
at
a
1.
secret
Kroger
on
for a
lawyers,
dollar 99 a
guys.
pound.
The
Yes,
listening
one
experience right
mic.
now is very very poor.
One mic.
One mic,
One
One
mic.
please.
mic.
One mic.
Yeah,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
this
Let's
is
all right.
horrible
Let's let
listening
one
experience.
mic. We're trying to gain order of the room. Just hold on a second. Let Patty respond, and then
Well,
you
you're a
can
little
go
late,
after
aren't
her.
you?
Patty, go ahead. TC, you can respond when she's done.
I asked you what was the legal justification for this? And why did the Supreme Court rule against it?
The Supreme Court did not rule against anything. The Supreme Court heard the appeal regarding the deportation of the individuals under the Enemy Aliens Act. They upheld the president's right to remove individuals under the Enemy Aliens Act. What they
and what
said
else?
was you
What
had
else
to
you're leaving out?
provide, excuse me. What they said was you had to provide a notice and a time period for them to appeal. Again, when you use terms loosely like due process, nobody
That's not
knows
what
what
they
the hell
stated.
you're talking about. All you need is a
You need to go
notice
to
and a
SCOTUS.blog and read
hearing.
exactly what they said.
That's
I,
not
I
what they
read the
stated
opinion.
whatsoever,
I,
TC. What they stated
I
was,
know exactly
well,
what
what
they
they
All right,
stated. I
stated
read the
was,
TC,
opinion.
TC.
let them respond to you, bro. Y'all
No,
got
no,
it.
no.
Let
I'm
them
No, no,
gonna
no, no,
respond.
no.
finish.
I'm sorry,
Divine,
but
you can't
TC,
let
this is
TC
what
people
the
wasn't
develop
done,
no,
it
guys.
and then
this
Let
is
say
what
TC
let
finish
them
and then they can
respond.
respond.
Go
this
back
is
and
what
You
forth.
guys,
Go
that's
ahead,
like you
TC.
liberals. Thank you, Storm. You
Storm,
liberals do this on a daily basis. Divine,
I
you're the
have the
number
back
one
and forth.
cheerleader for
You're
this
hogging
stuff,
the
right?
mic,
Let
right?
them
It's point for
respond,
point.
TC. Let them
Divine,
respond.
just
I
let
didn't
him
even finish
talk.
my submission.
Storm, he don't need security. The fuck?
Yeah,
Well,
we
you know
don't need
what?
a
Neither do they,
cheerleader
but
for
they
the
got three on
liberals.
one. So stop
You're
ganging up
yelling
and
and we
let
can't.
everybody finish and have a discourse for Christ's sake. Go ahead,
You know what,
TC.
Divine? No, you know what, Divine? You can have it. Go ahead.
it's so I just wanted to say one thing real quick in regards to what he stated. It was incorrect. They didn't say that they have to give a notice. Then hearing what they stated was that they have to make reasonable time for the quote unquote Venezuelan gang members that they are claiming are gang members to go to court and to have a hearing before a judge. They only upheld it if they follow that directive.
Which is called due process. He
They get
said
24
due
hours.
process.
Read it.
They get
And
a
Tell
what
me,
is it
notice
called?
like,
and a
hold on,
hearing,
It's
is
not
what
due
I
Patty, can I
said.
try this again
They
with
get
you?
a
Because
notice and a hearing. That's it. That's it.
So under the Alien Act, you won't have to use due process, right? Because you're at a time of war. The thing was, they said they recognize it. They recognize the act, right? But
You said a
due
minute
pro-
ago, Patty, that they
hold
they
ruled
on,
didn't
against
TC,
it.
let her
listen.
finish.
You said they ruled against it. So
Can, can
why
she
are we
finish,
crediting
bro?
what you said?
I
Can
got
she
Divine. I
finish?
got it. I've already said
You
first.
obviously don't got it. You just
Oh,
let the fucking
damn,
people on the
Divine.
right speak. I'm.
So under the Alien Enemy
Don't
Act,
mute
right?
me,
All they
Var.
have to do is arrest, detain, and then kick your ass out. That's the whole act. Just because you recognize it, they fucking took away from it. And when they took away from it, they said you got to you're gonna have to respect the Constitution. Number one, and they said that they were gonna get their due process.
You do understand, Patty, that we're arguing all of this over MS-13, Tres de Anejo, or whatever, who are all terrorist organizations.
See, you
So
see how he threw
How
that
do you
out there.
know
know
they're
this?
not
I
done?
love how he threw that out there.
They don't give a fuck.
They are. They're terrorists. They are legally
Wait a minute.
labeled terrorists of this country.
Can't even say
That's
it with
what
a
that.
straight
So,
face.
That's
Var,
code.
if
That's
they
code
are
word. Code
terrorists,
word. I'm a racist.
No,
so
no,
Var,
not
No, that's
exactly.
I'm,
They
listen,
they
listen.
code.
I'm not
actually
gonna
I have
talk.
fucking
classified
common
MS-13
sense, and
as
these gang
foreign
members
foreign
are
terrorist
murdering,
organization.
I,
decapitating, and doing other things in other
okay.
countries, and I don't want them here.
Yeah.
So call
Yeah.
me a
Well, listen,
One
I'm not
second.
racist.
gonna
One
And
second.
call.
One
by the
second.
I'm
One mic, guys. One
almost
mic.
done.
Jamal, I'm gonna have to start limiting your participation here because every time you open your mouth, it's race, 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 race. That's not what we
It
do
makes
here.
your race look bad. You
Okay,
do
no,
that.
no, no, bro, no, Scott, please don't.
He's
Hey, hey,
calling them
no,
terrorists.
bro. What I'm saying to you once again, if that's your only
I
time to
don't
be,
understand why I'm being singled out when there's
because
other
yeah,
people
you're
talking.
definitely being singled out because
Because
you're the
you're
one.
saying stuff
You're
that
making the
isn't
comments. You're
true,
making the fucking
Jamal.
comments.
He's
Rich,
he's
mute your
calling
mic.
he's calling them terrorists,
Okay,
They
one,
They
let me
are
finish.
and they're
They
not
are
terrorists.
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 Okay,
They're not
Yes.
terrorists.
Yes,
yo,
they are.
The
you want no?
MS-13
Can
is
you mute
class.
up?
Oh, go
Mute the
ahead.
fuck out, guys. All right, guys. Next time he does that, just boot him from the room. Okay, I try to reason with him. We don't do that shit in this room. This is not Clubhouse. This is not what we do here. If you want to have it, we try to get it a little bit more intellectually, okay, on a higher intellectual level. I'm sorry.
So, so Bart, I can understand everything you're saying about them, quote unquote, being terrorists, but the issue here is that they failed in two courts: a federal court, well, actually three courts. My apologies. A Maryland state court, a federal court, and then the Supreme Court. They failed in three different courts to prove that these individuals that they are sending over were actually terrorists, which is why, one, they had a stay of deportation order before they were sent over. Two, the Supreme Court stated when they failed to bring evidence, they have to bring Garcia back to the United States. And number three, they also stated that in the most recent Supreme Court ruling where they recognized the exportations, they still stated that they have to provide evidence of all of this. The Trump administration has failed on every stage to provide evidence that these individuals are actually a part of gangs. Until they do that, then these deportations are just, if anything, something to get out immigrants who, in order to follow his agenda message. And that's an issue to me.
This guy clearly doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. I mean, he gets an A for effort though, and he's trying. You can see
Do
the
you want to
effort,
squabble?
but
I
he
mean, we can
certainly
squabble
doesn't
about
know
it.
what he's talking about. Again, the Supreme Court recognized the executive's right to engage in foreign policy, as well as his authorities under the Enemies Aliens Act. It does not relegate to a judge whether or not the president has the right or the authority to deport anybody. It simply states that they have to get noticed and they have to have a hearing. Once that determination is made, they can be removed. I think you're trying, and you should. It's a sincere effort, but you're falling short of the reality of what the decision determined, siding with the president's authority to deport members under his authority under the Aliens Act. It's just that
So then you,
simple. He
so then
gets a
you do
hearing, he
understand
gets a
that in
notice,
that
he
same,
gets a hearing, and he gets a
okay,
notice.
that
Once
was
he's
a long
once he's
answer.
been apprised of both, and the determination is made, he gets removed. He's been given his due
Okay, so
process.
then right there, you're just further clarifying my point, proving what I'm saying is true. In those hearings that they have, claiming that they are being deported because they are gang members, they are going to have to provide evidence that they are gang members. I'm so confused. Am I missing something, Patty? I'm confused as fuck right now.
No, he just has selective hearing. It's normal.
Okay,
Continue.
okay, okay. Like I just wanted to make sure, TC, respectfully, man. I know that you can be a smart
All
individual,
right,
but
quit with
please
that
stay.
shit.
But
You want to
please
have a
stay in your lane
Jay?
and don't try to
Let
debate
him
me
Finish
on
it.
go, Bart.
policy.
Why are you
But,
jumping
but
in? Let
please,
him land.
but please don't. But please don't try to debate me when it comes down to the law. You really don't want this smoke with me, man. I'm just trying to give you a fair warning now.
Pick a day and pick a time. I'll pack you up any day and time. I have my
We can do
schedule's
it
kind of
right now.
full. My
We can
schedule's
do it
kind of
right now.
full. All right, let's
We
do it
can do
right
it
now
right now.
then.
We got 15
Let's
minutes.
do it
Make your
right
case.
now.
I
I
got
mean,
15 minutes.
I've made
Make your
my
case.
case. I've made my case. Well, I don't
And
know. I don't know
your
what the
case
comprehension gap
approved
is.
by.
The Supreme Court determined that the president has the authority to remove the individuals. They must be given notice. They must have a hearing. That's
Okay,
it.
okay. Stop right there. No, stop right there. That key word, hearing. Hearing. Okay, TC, tell me what happens at hearings when the government makes a specific claim for deportation. What does the government have to do?
So what you fail to realize, Mister,
No, no,
think
no,
I
no.
know all
Please
about the law.
answer. Please
Hold
answer the
on, hold
question.
on,
Gotcha,
And
hold
bitch.
on, hold on.
don't try to do the gift
Temper,
of gab to get around the question. Please answer my question.
temper
He
your
asked you a
Get
question.
on
expectations.
camera,
I
both of
asked
you
you a
now.
very direct
Temper,
question and you're
temper,
refusing to answer.
Gotcha.
Can
temper
you
your.
please answer my very direct question so we
Excuse
can
me.
continue to move on and then you can say
Excuse
whatever
me.
you want afterwards?
What?
What does the
Excuse me.
government
Excuse
have
me,
to
dude.
do
Dude. Hey,
inside of the hearings when they make
it's a
a very
problem.
specific claims?
It's
It
a
was stated
problem
in Dobie
that you
versus
have
it
to
was stated
yell.
in it
You
was
that
stated
you
in
have to
Dobie
yell, and
versus
I don't have to
INS
yell. Can
1967.
somebody get
Can you
control
tell
of
me
it?
what
Can
was stated?
somebody get control of this guy,
Answer the
please?
question.
Can somebody get control of the guy? If I'm going to answer the question, I'm not going to be interrupted. First and foremost, you're not
Okay,
going to tell
absolutely.
me. You're
Go
not going
ahead,
to tell me
please.
how I can respond to the question. You know I don't operate like that. That might work in some of your flunkies'
You don't
classrooms,
answer
but
any type of questions.
that doesn't work with me because I know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm well studied and read it on the law, and before I speak, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not like Patty over here just blowing hot air and hoping that somebody catches wind
Don't take
and
the bait,
flies
Patty.
away.
Let him go
Don't, you
ahead.
know what?
I
Don't
know
take
what
the
I'm
bait.
talking
This is
about.
her.
Don't take the bait, Patty.
There's a
Go ahead.
clear delineation that exists here that you have not grappled with. These hearings
Then
do
get to the
not
point.
have to be in the U.S. courts. Point blank, period. That's the argument you made. You're wrong. They need a
King,
notice and they need
what?
a fair hearing. They do not need to argue before a U.S. court. The government doesn't have to bring an indictment. The government doesn't have to bring a true bill. You wouldn't know what that is unless you actually did some research into what we're talking about here. So I'm sorry, you're wrong. You've been wrong. And now you need to just go study up on it and get back to me when you figure it out. A
So
notice in
then
the
I'm
hearing. The
gonna.
government doesn't have to bring anything.
So then I'm just gonna.
Why they mute
Why am I
him? Why did they mute
Why
him?
am I consistently being muted? Yeah, he's done talking. Please allow me to talk now. So I'm just gonna read this out one more time because once again, this shit is comical as fuck. Before deportations, the Trump administration has to ensure that the Venezuelan, and they put it in quotation marks, gang members have time to go to court for a hearing. So if they are stating before deportation, what does that likely mean, class? It most likely means, and actually, TC, before I even get to the finishing of that sentence, could you please point to me where anywhere in the United States Supreme Court or any type of codes whatsoever where it states that if they are deported, they do not have to go before a United States Supreme Court. Instead, the jurisdiction can be transferred to a different court. Find me that exact code or Supreme Court case, and I'm gonna go ahead and drop a few in the chat for you to read. Because again, you don't know the fuck you're talking to, and you also don't know what the fuck you're talking about whatsoever. They stated that they have to have a hearing, meaning that they're going to have a hearing in the United States for the United States to create their claim to deportation, and they also have a right to defend themselves from deportation. That was the one little excerpt that everybody likes to leave out from this most recent Supreme Court ruling. So please do me a favor to where the Supreme Court all of a sudden threw out Plyler versus Doe and Wing Wong versus the United States, along with Reyes versus INS 1967, where it still states that illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants, and even legalized aliens have the right to procedural and substantive due process in the United States of America, and they put it in quotations, in the United States of America. Please, 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 TC, provide me any type of evidence that states otherwise. And I'm just going to go ahead, put a couple of Supreme Court cases in the chat, along with actually put in quotations from what the Supreme Court really said inside of their ruling. Because what you're trying to do is what you do on Clubhouse, you get called out for it all the time. You like to try to use the gift of gab to get around things and to try to make things to your point, which don't actually follow up with the law or any type of historical precedent whatsoever. You can have an opinion on something, TC. It doesn't make it a fact, and if anything, it makes you seem ignorant.
All right, you done? All
Very
right, thank
good.
you.
Very
I'm
good.
glad. I'm glad. I'm
You got
glad that
knocked
I'm
the
glad
fuck
that you were
out.
able to get
He
some
packed
applause
you
from
up.
Devon. I hope you put that trophy on your wall. I actually do
Get
come with
ass up.
Supreme
Go
Court
ahead.
precedent.
Your
Actually,
bullshit.
it's Ledecky versus Watkins, 1948 Supreme Court precedent that actually ruled on this very topic, whether or not a person has to be heard in a U.S. court of law. It held that enemy aliens do not automatically get a full judicial hearing before a deported individual is detained under the act. They defer to the executive branch's authority during wartime under the Enemy Aliens Act, and due process protections are limited to enemy aliens during active wartime conditions. Ludke also found that the deportation and detention of enemy aliens during wartime is a political, not judicial matter, and thus traditional proceedings are not required. Do you need
And
more
that
presidential support?
and that's why I said
That's
that.
More
Ledke
time.
versus
Can I say
More
something?
Watkins,
This is
time.
Patty.
1940. Hold on 1 second. That's Ledke versus Watkins, 1948, for the very verbose counselor on the other end that claims he knows all and is all when it comes to law. He can look up Ledke versus
So
Watkins,
you forgot that
1948.
in Lucky versus Watkins, I got very easily. You forgot in Lucky versus Watkins. You forgot about footnote number 15, where they very clearly stated, in a time of war.
Yeah,
Thank
And can I
you.
respond?
that's
And can I
exactly the
respond?
emergency declaration. That's exactly the
Slow
emergency declaration that was
Please go on
made.
mic.
mute
Let
and
him
allow me to
land.
finish.
Excuse me.
TC, please
I
go
was
on mute and
speaking and
allow me
you
to
Let
spoke on
finish.
my
him
time. I'm
land.
TC,
reclaiming my
please go
time.
on mute and allow
No,
me
no,
to
no.
finish.
I'd
No,
like to
you quite
reclaim my
literally went on
time.
mute.
You
You
interrupted
quite
me,
literally went
and
on
I.
mute.
No, no, no,
He
no. I
quite
didn't go
literally
on
went
mute.
on
He
I
mute.
is
gave you
on mute, though.
deference, and now I'm
Dear
Went on
God,
reclaiming
he
mute,
my
quite
time.
bro.
That's how a
literally went
debate
on
Bro.
mute,
works.
man. Man, bro,
Excuse
just
Bro.
me.
go on mute,
Excuse
man.
me. I waited
Please
until
allow me
you
to
were
continue
done.
packing you
I
up,
gave
man.
you deference.
Please go
Now
on
I'm going to
mute.
reclaim my time. No,
Please
I'm
allow me to
reclaiming my.
Wait,
please
wait, wait.
No,
please go
it's
on
my
mute.
time. I don't have to
It's
give it to
really
you.
not.
It's
You
my
went on
time.
mute, man.
I'm
You went
reclaiming
on
my
mute,
time.
man.
Thank you very much.
This
I
is
did that.
But
very
I
TC,
gave
you
ignorant.
are
deference to
done. You
you.
actually done,
Excuse
TC.
Hey,
me.
you
See, I'm
guys,
not done. I did
they're
not
still
say I was done.
recording. TC, I'm gonna pass it right back to you, you guys. They're still recording. So can you please just, we cannot hear
Thank
when
you,
it's both
Diana.
of
I
you
was about to
guys.
mute all. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I
no,
was about
let's
to mute all.
go. Go for it.
All right.
He
So
literally
so
went on
I
in a
know,
debate,
but Jay, just let them land and then you guys can go
thank
back
you.
and forth.
Appreciate that. In a debate, a person can give deference to the other individual to allow them to make a submission in the middle of theirs just to be fair. But I can reclaim my time. What you said was, I forgot to mention footnote 15 that says it had to be in the middle of war. Well, the executive is the person that made a declaratory emergency proclamation on the status of Tren de Aragua and claiming that it is an act of war and an act of invasion in this country. So the requisite, the prerequisites are satisfied in the declaration of the executive that made the determination that we were in a wartime footing. So again, the Ledke versus Watkins is satisfied here. And again, it held that there were no need for judicial hearings. And in the Supreme Court case that you referenced, the recent Supreme Court case that went up before the court in March, they did not determine that had to be held in a U.S. court. They held, the Supreme Court majority opinion held, that they had to have a hearing and they had to be given notice. And if they satisfied the two, there is no need for appellate jurisdictions to involve themselves in the president's legal authority, constitutional authority to deport illegal enemy combatants that have invaded this country. Point blank, period. Barr said it very clearly. They're declared terrorist organizations that have invaded this country. The president has the authority to remove them with a fair hearing and a notice. And that's exactly what he did. There was no requirement for there to be any type of substantial due process or substantive due process. They need a hearing and they need a notice. That's it. And that's my
Okay, so
time.
I'm going to assume he's done now. So then, number one, like I said, he forgets this one very important part of the Aliens Act. Number one, that Aliens Act, while the president can't put us under a situation of emergency, what he cannot do is extend it past a certain time limit without Congress's approval. So that just goes there. Number two, inside of footnote 15, footnote 12, and footnote 13. Sorry, 12, 13, and 15 of the exact same Supreme Court case that you're stating, we're talking about in the actions of war. We're talking about in the midst of an actual war where we are quote unquote being invaded by an enemy or we are in another country. That is what was actually mentioned. And I don't know if you even know about the case, but it was about a man from Berlin, Germany, who was in the United States of America, who took part in World War II, and they deported him back for a hearing in the Nuremberg trials. That's the one thing that you're not understanding about this whatsoever, and why it wasn't actually mentioned in the most recent Supreme Court ruling. Instead, in the most recent Supreme Court ruling, they brought up Plyer versus Doe. Why? Because it states that an illegal immigrant still deserves the right to due process under the law in the United States of America. And in deportation hearings, specifically when claims are made, and this can be found in Reyes versus INS, specifically footnote number 12. I'm going to put that in the chat for you too. Reyes versus INS, footnote number 12. It specifically states that in deportation hearings, when a specific claim for deportation is made, especially if it is under a crime accusation, they have to provide the evidence for it, which is why the Supreme Court also stated they had to bring Garcia back to the United States because they failed to provide evidence that he was actually an MS-13 gang member. They still do to this day. Their own attorney who went before the Supreme Court even stated, we do not have the evidence to prove that he is an MS-13 gang member. Again, you have the gift of gab, TC. I will give you that, and I love that for you. But when actual people who know what they're talking about get in a room with you, it kind of just shows how much of an idiot you are because of the fact that you brought up this specific court case when it referred to an individual who was a Nazi in World War II. You have to be an ignorant. You have to be an ignorant idiot. I'm done.
And he constantly brings up ChatGPT and Google when we know that's exactly what you were reading because you did not find case law or legal precedent anywhere in what you said at all, TC. None.
And to think that the Alien Enemy Act is actually really active when they said they recognize it, but they're still forcing them to do due process. Under the Alien Enemies Act, they won't have to do that. They can ship your ass back. And that's why I said,
To deport TC.
Where's TC now? Where is he? Is he still here?
His due process.
Jamal.
Oh, last thing, on page 335 of the actual Supreme Court case in Lutke, it specifically states, and I'm going to read this out verbatim. Let me just scroll back up right here. But I do not reach the question of power to deport aliens of countries with which we are at war while we are at war, because I think the idea that we are still at war with Germany in the sense contemplated by the statute controlling here is pure fiction. Furthermore, I think there is no act of Congress which lends the slightest basis to claim that after hostilities with a foreign country have ended, the president or the attorney general, one or both, can deport aliens without a fair hearing reviewable in court. On the contrary, when this very question came before Congress after World War I, in the interval between the armistice and the conclusion of formal peace with Germany, Congress unequivocally required the enemy aliens to be given a fair hearing before being deported. That was a part of their ruling. That even enemies have to be given a fair hearing
Dude, I don't know if
before
you're like I don't
being
know if you're like
reported.
dense or
It
like
is on page TC. TC,
there's
please
like
go
a
on mute.
hard
I'm
no
still
no I've
talking.
been listening to you
Please go
guys
on
for the
mute.
last
I am
I
still
gave you
talking.
a lot of time, dude.
I am
You
still
got way
talking.
more time than
You
I've
You
guys
had.
don't get
muted.
to
And
decide how much
respectfully,
time he gets, TC.
you guys muted me because because he didn't get to land. Please mute him and allow me to land. My final couple sentences here are the fact that we brought up this case, well, you brought this case. Number one, I could tell you didn't actually read it. You most likely did chat GPT it or use Google AI to give you a little summary of what they stated, but you didn't actually read the full ruling of it. On page 335 of the ruling, it still states that even enemies have to be given a fair court hearing before they can be deported. Like this, I'm sorry, but this has to be ignorant. And the fact that a lot of y'all like actually listen to TC, well, I know most of y'all don't, but just to finish off, TC, respectfully, man, choose somebody else to argue with. I'm done debating with your ass simply because I know you didn't read the fucking ruling itself. And respectfully, man, never ever again in your fucking life try to have a conversation with me about law just after this, you've lost all credibility in my opinion, considering the fact that you only read the abstract, because everything you said can be found in the abstract in the first 2 pages. That's how I know you didn't actually read this shit. You're dumb. I'm going back on mute now.
It's
Thank you
All
for
right,
credibility.
thank
y'all.
you. He's done.
Yeah,
Thank you very
yeah.
much. I appreciate that. So,
So that
it's time to kind of like rehash. Not, we don't need to
oh my god.
rehash all
Okay,
of that
yeah, this is
idiocy
the
that we
last
just got
rebuttal, and
done
then we're gonna
hearing.
move on. Go
We
ahead,
we don't
TC.
need to rehash it. I mean, listen, this guy comes on the stage with the hubris and tries to try and convince everybody that he's debating with me. He's not debating with me, folks. God thinks he's debating me because he wants to kind of sit on his high horse and make himself feel all high and lofty. What he did was he created a straw man. But I wouldn't expect Jay to know that because he's so busy trying to stroke his own ego that he's not even debating me.
The
I
guy
said
said
that the people
attorney
are,
for Christ's sake.
excuse me,
You're
you can go
not.
on mute. I'm not done. Thank you.
Bro, you gotta pack the
I
fuck up.
said that they're
Let's go on to the next
entitled
topic.
to a notice and a hearing. Those 2 prerequisites
Yep.
satisfies the Supreme Court's status. What that all of that shit he just got done rolling up. Oh, even this footnote, this notice says here that they get a hearing. He's not debating me. He's creating a straw man. It's a logical fallacy, folks. And he's debating the straw man because I never made the argument that they're not entitled to a hearing. The argument that I made was that the Supreme Court decision is consistent with Ledke versus Watkins, and the most recent case here, which is the Trump case, found that no substantive due process is required under that law. They found 2 things, and he's still to this day, with all of that blab and all of that yickety yak and smackety smack and that tiptoeing and tap dancing he was doing, never once addressed the original claim, which demonstrates his lack of comprehension. The claim was that they're entitled to 2 things and nothing more: a notice and a hearing. So you don't have to take my word for it. I'm going to read you a quote from the actual
Do we
opinion.
have to go through this? My
For
God.
all, excuse me, you can go on mute. Thank you. For all of the rhetoric of the dissents, today's order ad per curiam, this is how I know he didn't read the very opinion that he's talking about, because it clearly defines it here. Confirmed that the detainees subject to the removal orders under the AEA are entitled to notice and an opportunity to challenge their removal. That's it. It is very clear. It is not ambiguous. It's not as confusing as he claims it is. They're not entitled to substantive due process. They're entitled to a notice and a hearing, which is due process. All of this carrying on, they have to go all the way up to the Supreme Court. That is not what the Supreme Court held. As a matter of fact, in a separate case, the Supreme Court held that proper deference, that the courts had to give proper deference to the executive and their authority to execute foreign policy, so that it actually limited the court's ability to intervene in the constitutional authorities of the executive to engage in foreign policy, which they categorize this authority under that foreign policy directive. So you're wrong. Supreme Court held, again, I'll read it here. I'll read it a little bit slower so you can understand it. Detainees subject to removal orders under the AEA are entitled to notice and an opportunity to challenge their removal. Once they've been given those 2 things, they get removed. Point blank, period. They can take up any type of additional due process in El Salvador. You understand the difference? Maybe you're so dense that you can't carry that concept. Sure, they can appeal it all the way up to the Supreme Court, but they're going to be appealing it in El Salvador. You understand that? They can be removed after the opportunity to challenge. It's just that quick. But you don't understand that because you got your head so far stuck up your ass. Just read the opinion for yourself. They can
Get
make
ready.
those due process claims in El Salvador. But once the administration has given them those 2 things, they can put their ass on the plane and kick them the hell out of the country. I'm done.
All right, so I'm going to assume he's done. This is the last thing
No,
I'm going to
no,
say in
no,
regards
no,
to this.
no,
Chad,
no.
please allow me to say one more
He
thing
doesn't
because
That no
understand
one,
it.
y'all
He's
are
having
not
a
gonna
hard
get the
time
last
comprehending.
word.
He
I'm
doesn't
telling you.
understand. He thinks due process
No,
means
no,
that
no,
they get to
no.
stand before the
Okay,
Supreme
Excuse
Court.
me.
okay, you could go on mute now.
Welcome to Debate the News. Thank you guys for joining us today. Just to remind you all, we are recording a live podcast. So what does that mean? Only one of you can speak at a time. Hello? Y'all all right? Did y'all go to church today? I'm assuming not, because you're a little feisty. Okay. Thank you for joining us this evening. Okay. If you are on the other two platforms, make sure that you are following DTN, you're following JB or Jonathan Bing, and you're also subscribing to our podcast, which is available on all of your major podcast platforms. Okay. Give us 5 stars if you don't mind. All right. Go ahead and click them stars. Give us 5. Leave a great review. A great review. Don't give me a crappy review. Give me a great one. Okay, give us a good one. All right. Also, make sure that you are also setting your alerts. Okay, if you are on Chatter, I'm sorry, if you would like an invite to Chatter, please let one of our moderators know, and they will put an exclusive invite if they haven't already in the chat. Download the Chatter social app and then click that link and come over and join us where the sound is better supposedly. And there's camera. Okay, we can see if these people are cap. You can see if they are catfish or if they look like a hot mess. Come on over to Chatter and see for yourself. We saw Jamal today. It was exciting. So we just wanted y'all to come on and join us. We've unlocked some new characters the past couple of days, and I'm loving it. All right. Today's topic is right. Trump admin deported U.S. citizens and these ICE raids. Here's my question to the room. Do we know what crimes these people have committed? Hmm? Do we know? Do we know? Do we have a list? Who's providing that? If all of these people are criminals, not saying they aren't, but if they are, it should we be or should someone be given a list? Because my understanding is when that first plane landed in El Salvador, they didn't, I don't know if they've released it, but there was a list that they weren't willing to release to that particular judge. And so if they're claiming that there is this impending threat on America, what crimes have they committed? Is that needed? Is that required to my legal scholars? Is it required for them to have to commit a crime or to be, what's the word I'm looking for the appearance of a crime? Which one is it? So the floor is
No,
open.
their mere presence alone can justify removal directives from the executive. They don't need to have committed a crime in the U.S.
Hey, Chad. So, yeah, so they're saying that they're criminals that they put on those planes and sent over to El Salvador. But the research is coming out now that names are starting to be released that more than 70% of the people have not committed any crimes. So here we go. Again, we're going to end up shelling a lot of money out because of Trump's ignorance.
You think they'll end up paying them some type of reparational type payment for all of this before we get reparations? I believe they probably would.
Jamal,
Reparations.
Jamal,
Jamal,
go
when
sit
you
next to
pick up
Chad.
your reparations check?
Go sit next to Chad, Jamal.
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
When you
I'm
pick
being
up your
real.
check?
They will end up giving
Last I
these
checked, I
people.
ain't even get one. How
They're
you
gonna
get
break
one?
bread with them before they break bread with us. That's all I'm
Jamal,
saying.
you're crazy, Jamal. What
Jamal, go sit next
reparation
to
are you
Chad.
Come,
talking
yeah,
about?
come on, come on. We on the
Forget
second
it.
pew.
All right. I'm coming over.
Yeah,
Forget it.
Sharon and I, we on the second pew. Come on, sit over here. Okay, we are enjoying the show. So if they are illegal aliens, that is the crime that TC is saying that they've committed because they came over here illegally. Like I saw that in Canada, a woman took a wrong turn. She was in a car with her daughter, who is a citizen, and she took the wrong turn, and it was taking her over a bridge into Canada. And lo and behold, she's now on her way to being deported because she took the wrong turn. Now, was that just? 'Cause- 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 because she took the wrong turn and she was an illegal immigrant, does that mean that she should be deported?
Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, that's what our laws are, and it does mean she should be deported if she's caught and she's illegal.
Yeah, I just want y'all to have this much conviction when Tyrone and them get caught up that y'all fighting for them like this.
I agree with you, Chad.
That's what I want. Okay? When Lil Ray Ray, and Pookie and them, when they, free my Uncle Junebug or whatever happened, I want y'all to have this much tenacity, okay, and fervor when they get locked up for no reason. Hmm? Well, am I wrong for that? Y'all awfully quiet.
You're not
No,
wrong.
I couldn't agree more.
But we need to see what's coming down the pipe. Okay, we get it. You're going after criminals. Are these people criminals? I guess the criminal act now is being here. And so what's coming down the pipe? Because we've had this talk many and many times. Most people that are here illegally flew in, and it's and never left. So are you gonna go after those people? Where's that list? When's that going to happen? Because it seems like it's far and few in between that it's even a thought, right? Because we have to go back to all the statements of the shithole countries and why, and but then you hear the backtracking. Well, we need these people for the hospitality and agriculture industries. So which one is it? It's a lot of flip flopping going on when it comes to who can stay, who can't stay, who has to go, who's being targeted. It's just not a good look at all. And if people sit by idly and say that this is cool and this how it should be, I don't know. I guess you're not my type of individual. There needs to be order. There needs to be true leadership because right now we're looking real crazy out here. With that, I land.
Mm. Well, these raids that are happening, it's like hundreds of people that are being um deported, hundreds. And I don't does anyone know the number of illegal immigrants that we have here? Do I need to chat GPT that, or y'all gonna kill me for looking that up?
Nobody knows how many illegal immigrants we have here. We don't
They
even
It
have
have
was
a
we
rough
don't
over.
even have a
estimate.
remote
It was
number.
over 20 million in the last
No,
5 years.
there's not even an accurate estimate that you'll find. We don't know how many gotaways exist at the border. We don't know how many catch and releases under the Biden administration. We just don't have that data. You have a broad estimate, but even that estimate cannot be confirmed. We don't know how many illegal immigrants are living in this country right now.
Well, we do know they didn't all come here in the last 4 years.
Believe
Well,
they said 20 million in the last four.
I need to fact check that because I don't
In
know
fact,
about
go
that.
ahead and fact check it,
I
mama.
mean, no,
Fact
I'm not
check it.
saying you're not right. That's a
Fact check
lot
it, mama. Yeah,
because
it was
I
20
know
million.
Biden had that. What is it, CB1, or there was something that he enacted, um, and it was through that app.
He
TC could
gave
do it.
a,
He's
he
the
gave an
best on
exa-
chat TBT. TC is. Let him do it.
Well, my question is if there's
But
20 million and
here's the
20
crazy
million
thing.
came here in the last 4 years, that's not mathing for me.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm flattered that you guys think I use ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT to pull cases out of the clear blue sky when I'm being challenged on something. That's pretty much it. I guarantee you, this other guy, he doesn't commit Supreme Court precedent on the Enemy Aliens Act to memory. Everybody uses Google and ChatGPT for that. But basic knowledge of basic concepts of law, of policy, of legal structures like that shit you don't have to use chat gpt for. But I'm flattered that you guys think I use chat gpt. I mean, that's extremely flattering. Like, I've heard it a few times now. I'm like, holy shit, they think
We'll
I'm
do it
using
on
Well,
chat
do
yeah,
it
gpt.
on do
everybody
it on the
does
number.
use Chat GPT, but you're the only one that's on here trying to make an excuse, telling people that they're wrong for using it. You're the only one that's doing that. So yeah, everybody does use it, but you're the only person that's trying to say that somebody else's point is wrong because they've used Chat GPT. You're the only one doing that.
When did you ever hear me claim anybody was wrong for using
You did it
ChatGPT? We
multiple
never
times when you did it multiple times when people would make points. Oh, I see you're using
name
Chat
it, name
GPT, so
it,
you don't understand the
name
full
it,
case
Back
law.
to the
name
That's
show,
it.
what
I
you
gentlemen.
never.
Okay,
did.
guys, let's get back to the show,
Yeah,
guys.
that's
Let's get
bullshit
back
because
to
I
the show.
never did that because I use
You
All right,
did it all
ChatGPT
day.
to
okay.
pull
You did it
cases.
last night
All right, one,
Hold
yesterday
on,
when I
hold
one,
on,
backed you
one
up,
mic,
and you
hold
did it
on,
today.
hold on. I
one,
use
one mic, one mic,
ChatGPT
one mic,
to
Y'all two
source
need to
cases.
learn.
one mic. Please, can we get back to the show? All right, that's not what we're doing here. We're trying to do a podcast. You guys are yelling at each other. That has nothing to do with the topic. So again,
I don't
Trump
know.
admin deported USA citizens. We have a 4-year-old child who's on cancer treatment sent out of this country, and something happens to that child. That is on the blood of our hands. The world is watching. This is brutal. This is unconstitutional. There's no way that a 4-year-old who is getting cancer treatment should be put on a plane and sent to God knows where. You guys probably know where he went. But if anybody thinks this is okay, man, you are just a heartless, cold-blooded MF. So
Yeah,
with
well,
that, let's keep
you
the
don't have the
conversation
facts.
going.
You don't have.
Well said. Well said, brother.
Stop muting me, you liberal.
Hit him with another
Stop
quick
muting
mute.
me. You want to keep me?
Y'all, come
That's
come
fine.
on.
That's fine. Let's just what the liberals do, chat. We know this is a liberal room. This is a liberal club. Like we're not surprised by
Right,
this.
just
This is
tried
what
to
they do
reset
on a
the room.
regular
Stick to
basis.
the
You ain't trying to
topic.
reset
Can we
shit.
get back
You're
to the
not trying to. You're trying
topic?
to mute dissent. Is what you're trying
No,
to
I
do.
did not
You're
mute
trying to
anybody.
stifle free speech, which is what liberals are known for in this country. So we're
Okay, I
not
did not do
surprised
that.
when
I
you
have
do
no
it in
reason.
these
I have
small
no
spaces of
reason to mute you.
insignificance. You have every
Okay,
reason to try and stifle any speech
If it's
that will
so
prove you
insignificant, why are
wrong.
you
You
muting
don't
it?
Please
get a
shut the
chance to
speak
fuck
share
If
up.
it's
any
about
so
original
If
insignificant,
opinions.
it's
why
So
so
you
are
got
you
to
muting
mute
insignificant,
it?
why are you
dissent is what you
muting?
have to do.
okay, I did
Stop
not mute
muting
you.
me
I
and
have
let me
no
get my
reason
point
to
out.
mute you.
So what I
If
was
this
saying
platform
was,
is so insignificant, why do you care about
what
getting
I
your
was
point out?
saying was before I was muted, you don't have the facts. This
I'm from
kid was
NBC.
with his
NBC.
parent. He was removed with his parent. Okay, you would expect that a parent has more. What a child would be safer and more secure with his parent than in the custody of the U.S. government, which you would expect. You want to keep these families together. So again, you don't have the facts. All you have is conjecture, emotional thought, and you are trying to spew it on this stage and get everybody to say, "Oh yeah, this, how disgraceful." The president deporting 4-year-old American citizens suffering from cancer. He was with his parent. Be if you're gonna share the news, at least do it honestly.
So none of us have the facts except for the fact that the lawyer said that she was deported and there was no there was no due process for her, right? And then you got to look at her child has she has a 4-year-old child with cancer. A lot of times when you have these immigrants that they have family members here that they may have been able to leave her with so that she can at least get the proper medical care. So you don't have the facts, I don't have the facts, he doesn't have the facts. So what's next?
Why don't we toss the mic around and see what other people think? Does somebody else want to speak that has been able to jump in? Because some people speak too long.
Now y'all know Jonathan about to say this shit show. Because this is nuts. So what this is, I mean, we've been talking about deportation since Trump's first term, right? I don't remember, and I could be wrong, but I don't remember us having these extensive conversations about deportation when um
Obama was
Obama
doing it.
Obama was in office. So, I remember the first time when Trump was in office because I was at a particular nonprofit that's known. And we had to help a lot of illegal immigrants, undocumented migrants, because there were children being separated at the border from their parents. And so, like, I think what we're seeing is the American people, not just the American people, but I also think some of these elected officials don't trust that there is an actual process, that the only process is to locate them, find them, round them up, and send them away. Right there, and due process would actually help them. right? It would help us and help them. But I think part of it is arrogance. Like, I don't know how bad or how detrimental this treatment of these illegal immigrants would have to be for the UN to step in and say, okay, this is cruel, United States of America. This is cruel what you are doing, and we're stepping in, or we're going to say something. Do y'all think that that would happen with with
Well,
the UN? Could the UN come in and say that what we are doing is actually cruel?
well, you got to remember the way that Obama was doing it was a little bit smoother and quieter. But I remember I lived through it. I remember ICE rounding up people. They were rounding up a lot of people back in 2008, 2006. I can remember those years. And the way that he was doing it was they were bringing them in, but they were having them in court. The court was so backed up, they didn't have enough judges to try all the cases, but they were all getting their legal due process. I guess that's what we're talking about now. So it's a way to do it, but it goes back to what I said in the beginning. I'm not going to say anything to offend anybody, and I don't want to, but I believe that the way that the Trump people are doing this now is they're just going back to their base. And we know where their base is. We've already discussed that earlier in the conversation. But they're trying to please their base with something because he's come in and run amok on the economy and on these tariffs. And so the only thing he is up in the polls in is immigration. So he's really flexing and he's over heavy handedly overstating the way that he does that. And what he really needs to do is kind of dial it back a little bit. And I'll land right there and let some of these educated people talk.
Damn, who killed the room? It's early.
Hello?
Here, he actually spoke the truth. So I like what he said.
I looked the
Where did
stats
Sean
up.
go?
Sorry. I was going to say, I looked the stats up. It says 47% agree with this policy, 44 disagree with this policy, and 8% are
Was
neutral.
there actually a citizen
Yeah, but
that was
who getting
deported?
polled, Scooby? I ain't been polled.
Right. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you, Carlos.
we can always look at different pollsters. I'm just looking at general, about half of everybody agrees that it's too much, and half agree that it's too little. I mean, it's
But
just right.
who are the people that's being polled? Because, like Carlos said, he hasn't taken a poll. I haven't taken a poll. So, who's the polls coming from?
Well, I'm just
Half of these political polls are usually smaller than a population pool of 200 people. So this doesn't really show a broad case of the United States of America or even just a small district in a place like Alabama or in a small district in a place like Alabama or something. So some of these polls can be a little skewed one way or another because of how small they usually are.
Well, so I was thinking, don't doesn't the Hispanic population or Latino, please forgive me if that's offensive, um, vote overwhelmingly Republican?
No,
Yep.
no. The Cuban. This is very. Aren't they Democrats?
They
Yeah,
came
it
out
depends on where
Republican
you.
this time.
Yeah,
They
this
did come
time
out.
they came out Republican, but before that,
Can
it
y'all hear
wasn't.
me over there? Are they able to hear me, Jonathan?
I hear you.
No, they're not mostly Democrats, which is why a lot of people are actually mad at the Hispanics or laughing at them
This
because
voice sound like BT. Who's
they
this?
voted to their own demise. And what we're
BT.
dealing
Oh,
with
okay.
is actually the Hispanics, not even torn, but a lot of them voted for this because they wanted their own people to be deported. and they said that it's too many of them coming over, and essentially they're comfortable, and they're pretty. Sorry, I had a phone call. Essentially, they're comfortable and wanted to send their own people back, but some of them are getting caught up in it as well. So they're in a real conundrum, the Hispanics right now. But no, they do not vote overwhelmingly Democrat. They used to. However, it has changed as they have moved up in the military ranks, education ranks, and wealth ranks. I land. Thanks. Hey, chat.
ABT. Okay, because I know in Texas it's like that, but that I was thinking of Texas and not the U.S. at large. So the past election, they voted overwhelmingly Republican. They voted for Trump. He campaigned on this. So why are Cuban Americans like, wait a minute, we were duped? Were they duped?
So Cuban Americans always voted
Me no
Republican.
black. Me no black.
It- So it's always
They
been
look
Cuban
here
and
now. They are
Venezuelans that
terrible.
actually usually voted Republican. But in the past elections, it's always been Democrats for the majority of Hispanics.
I will
Well, the
Mm-hmm.
vote
Cubans are different. That's a
for
specific
Donald
one.
Trump.
Well, I'm asking though, like they literally voted. He talked about deportation. He talked about that. He talked about deporting illegal immigrants, which meant that some of their friends and family could potentially be deported. Like
Correct.
does it seem like they were voting against their interest?
I'm sorry, but
That's
can I
my
say something?
question.
Correct.
Hey,
Yeah.
Chad, to
Well,
be real with you, a lot of people voted against their interests on this one.
That's a fact.
I,
I mean, if we're being honest, though, a lot of people, at least per the exit polls, a lot of people voted because he believed that he was going to bring the economy back. He was going to lower gas prices for groceries. Immigration actually came in seventh for everything that was on the exit polls. A lot of people didn't vote for him for his immigration agenda.
but a lot of people did too. So I don't know who they polled, but a lot of black people specifically voted for immigration and white people as well. I don't know about the immigrants.
So rather than voting in Kamala, they voted in Trump. Like they didn't see what he did in the first term, in his first term.
I think they did,
Like,
but a lot of them saw what Joe Biden and Kamala allowed with all the mass immigration um, at the
Yeah,
border,
Turn
which is
people off.
it was undeniable,
yeah.
and they just kept playing in people's face, and then they saw and then they saw Ukraine getting billions of dollars, and I mean it was just it was a lot. And then Israel, I mean, folks was just mad and didn't know what to do. A lot of them, but
That's true.
yeah,
That's true.
here we are.
Yeah, the people from Chicago was really upset. I mean, they were getting housing, food, and extra monies. In New York, they were staying at the Helmsley Suites. Just they were doing run-ins in houses and in the hood. They were knocking on people's doors, acting like they needed something, and then rushing into people's houses and robbing people. It was crazy. So, black people were kind of fed up with it. And I think that's what kind of swayed the vote a little bit too. But,
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Oh, you do know. That's what it was.
I don't know. I'll let the educated.
yeah, he got 55% of the Latino vote in Texas. Like I know I was talking about. I knew what I was talking about. But the thing about it though is like all of the things that he's done in the first administration and this administration, I don't know if people it almost seems like even if we talk about other executive orders or other things that he's been trying to implement, if we broaden the conversation out a little bit, like he's just writing things, people are executing it, and then we deal with the fallout later. I don't know if that's a good way to govern. But some people like that. They respect it. They like that he campaigned on X, Y, and Z and that he's doing what he said he's going to do. So I don't know. I know Jamal said he has buyer's remorse. with Trump. But I haven't really heard anyone else say that they've changed their mind about their vote.
Jamal is weak.
Oh, okay.
Wow, that's interesting. No, I'm gonna
Well,
be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. I want to just say that I had some friends, a couple of them. One of them in particular, in my home state of Alaska, uh, get cancer, and part of his medicine and stuff. Not all of it. He had some of his other medical insurance and stuff, but a portion of his medicine was coming from Medicaid. And he was relying on this. This is money that he has to live off of. On He's basically on his deathbed, and they basically cut his money off, cut cut some of the medicines and stuff off. It's just really bad. People are going through it. I mean, with that Medicaid cut, that really affected people. Now, I know that a lot of you guys are on the upper echelons of society, and nobody knows anybody that uses Medicaid. But I have some people who use Medicaid that really affected people, and I also have some people who aren't, on the upper ends, and they have been affected by some of the stuff that he's been doing. So yeah, I don't, I got some family that is in the Maryland area, in the Prince George's County area, that have lost some federal jobs. These are people that are related to me, and so the way that Elon did some of the stuff that he did, along with Pete. This is something that really alarms me with Pete, because today, I don't know if any of you guys seen this, but there was a huge explosion in Iran, and nobody's talking about it yet. But this could lead to a serious war, because this explosion blew up a lot of their facilities. I don't think it hit all of their oil refineries and stuff, but it blew up a lot of their stuff yesterday. And Russia sent out planes and stuff to help fight the fire. So the Russians basically got right behind them. And we're in the midst of negotiations right now with Iran. And it seemed real sketchy to me that if Pete Hegseth handprint is on anything to do with that explosion or what blew up over there in Iran, we could be in a serious war in the next couple of months. And I don't know if any of you guys have seen that on the news yet, but that's news up and coming. I'll land there.
Hey, Jamal, real quick.
Pete is a
Um,
damn idiot. I'll land with that.
yeah, I agree with that. So I think I might have missed something, but where's the connection? Do you think there's a connection?
I think that what is going on is the Houthis. They've been over there. They've been bombing over there. They haven't been saying anything about that, but we know that because he's been on Signal, sending group chats and shit about them bombing over there on the Houthis, right? But we're in the middle of. But he's in control of all of that. He's in control of everything we're doing over there in Iran. We're he controls the military. So, and he's a fucking idiot, and he's dangerous. And I'm just praying that it doesn't come back, that any of that stuff that was blown up over there this morning had anything to do with us. Because if it had anything to do with us, we're going to end up being in a war, a serious war, because Russia's already taken sides when they started to send the stuff over there. I don't know. You guys have to do the research. I'm just talking.
All right. So obviously you shut the room down with that bit of information. Hey guys, if you guys are was anybody talking?
No, it became dead just then, Jonathan.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So anyway, guys, up top we have the the podcast. If you guys see a podcast up there, make sure you guys are following that podcast. Debate the news. Do download some episodes, man, and we're gonna keep this thing moving, guys. ICE has been on a rampage. ICE has been raiding, hitting some big numbers. 800 people arrested in one raid in Florida. In Colorado, they arrested 141 plus soldiers. Illegal aliens. Um, How do you guys feel about it and the tactics that ICE is using to actually effectuate these arrests? We had TC here uh, going at it for a while. I think Patty and Jay shutting down. Uh, but how do you guys feel about it? I mean, in terms of are these arrests making us safer? Or are these arrests causing us to be a bit more concerned? That's what I want to talk about. So, um, I think uh, the rest that involved the soldiers. Anyone here? Anyone has any information about the rest that involved the soldiers in Colorado? They raided a nightclub, I believe, a nightclub in Colorado, and I believe they were able to get 141 illegals, and I think there was 16 soldiers there, and they arrested them as well. In Florida, they did a sweep, and that sweep netted them about 800 illegals. Some would be considered to be quote unquote very bad people, and some I think are just regular normal people. But these sweeps that they're doing, you know, uh, is this a scare tactic? Because it seems like the Trump administration has put the fear in everyone. The people, the aliens, legal and non-legal, they're all afraid to go out and protest. If anything has happened, they're afraid to say anything. They're afraid to even text or speak because they're afraid if they get stopped and they find something negative in their phone about being said about Trump, that may be used as a reason to get rid of them. They're afraid. I mean, this is not the freedom of speech. They've rejected. I guess they've taken. I guess rescinded visas and green cards just because they said that the people were critical of Israel. They've also, just done so many different things that just isn't American at all. They try to get rid of a whole bunch of student visas, which he now has stopped. Thankfully, he did because Trump was guys. He's pretty much chasing away the mechanism, the brain power that makes America great. The fact that we have some of the brightest students from around the world come here to study and do research, and by going after those student visas essentially it was going to set us back, and students people started looking to go to elsewhere. They started looking to go to France and everywhere else. Other countries just said, hey, I'll take it because they saw what that has done for the United States to have that many people come in, and actually come over here. It benefited us tremendously, but this administration did not see the I guess the benefit in it. So, yeah, guys, the floor is open. I mean, these raids, the immigration policy. Do you guys think this is too much? Anyone think it's too much? Like that voted. Is anyone here that voted for this that thinks that believes it's too much? Hmm, I'm staying on mute. Interesting. So, just everyone that voted for Donald Trump believes that this is the way to go. I just want to clarify that.
Jonathan, I'm reading up on it right now because I was like, did he just say they arrested some military active duty? So their little sweetheart Pamela Bondi, she said on X that two people had been arrested on outstanding warrants during the raid. Hmm. But the raids are supposed to be going after all the criminals, right? Maybe I'm confused because she tweeted out of all those people, two had outstanding warrants. Okay.
I just looked up a little bit in Colorado, and it looks like hours. So they've got this rule, that they're pretty strict. Like if you're a club, you've got music, you got to shut down at 2 o'clock or whatever. And then it looks like there was a bunch of drugs seized at that party. So it is true they do that kind of stuff, just generally speaking, as well, to like sometimes whatever, do a crackdown on drugs or that kind of stuff. I mean, I
I
can see
mean,
how it's a slippery slope, but I can see how too they've they've got their plan in place to catch some people
yeah.
that just aren't, whatever, they're partiers or breaking rules.
But here's the thing: we know that all across the United States there are after-hour clubs. Let's just put that on the table, and the quantity of cocaine and pink cocaine that they found there, they're not releasing because I'm sure it wasn't that much. A couple of people had guns, but shouldn't the local police be the ones arresting people for having after-hour clubs when they're not supposed to have it? Why was ICE doing a raid? An ICE raid. Yeah,
Yeah, that's I didn't read that far yet,
right.
but so
The
they
localities should have been
the
doing that, not ICE. And then they only got found two people that had outstanding warrants of all the people that they arrested.
So
I
when
would
the
think that.
localities find when the localities do the raid and they discover the undocumented immigrant, then you go and have a fit when the local law enforcement coordinates with federal law enforcement, and then you say that local law enforcement is doing the job of the federal law enforcement when they turn these people over to ICE.
It was not a
So which
joint.
one
It was
is it?
not. It was not a joint thing. It was ICE. ICE
No,
was
that's
the ones
you
doing the
talking
But
about
raid.
you're
Colorado.
making
If
the
no no
argument
no,
that
Colorado.
shouldn't have been local law enforcement that raided
I'm
this.
making the correct argument is that if it was an underground location and they shouldn't have been performing at certain hours, then the local law enforcement are the ones who are supposed to go in and shut them down and make arrests. That
That's a
didn't
negative.
happen. This was
That's a
not a
negative.
joint thing. This was ICE. ICE
That's a
did
negative. It
this.
was
Yeah,
DEA
but you're not taking the
DEA was in
second
charge
part of that. You're
of the
just sticking with the
What's the
first
investigation.
second
part.
part,
The
TC? What's the,
second
no?
part
I'm
is
taking the
No,
legal
the second
part.
part.
they arrest the people,
Mm-hmm.
and they find that these the degree a percentage of the people that they arrest are undocumented immigrants,
Mm-hmm.
and they're slated for deportation. Then what does
They
local
weren't
law
slated.
then what does local law enforcement do?
So when local law enforcement go in and make their arrest, and they determine after when they make the arrest that the people are there illegally, then they have a responsibility to then call in
No,
ICE
this is
and
not
turn
that
them
type
over
of
to
Great,
ICE at that point. But
great. So let me just be
this
clear.
was not no no no. This was not a joint
Let her land,
task
TC.
force. This was
Hey,
not a joint
can they
task
hear
force.
us
This
on
was
the
You
other
said
side?
ICE
that now.
No,
You
you
going.
can
said that
let
This
her
now
was
four
Let
land.
her
ICE
times.
respond
going
when she's
in doing
done.
things. Yeah,
Stop acting like she
because
scared.
your comprehension level is low because you think you're an attorney and you know what you know, but you
This
don't.
has nothing to be with. This
That's
has
why
nothing to
Jay
do with
handed you
my
Jay and
comprehension
Patty
or me being an
handed you your
attorney.
ass today because you don't know anything.
Sorry, I'm
So
not.
at the end of
I'm
the
not that
day,
shallow. You're not gonna be able to trigger me on that.
this was not a joint task. This was ICE going in.
It was a joint
Period.
Yeah,
task
yeah, great,
force.
great. She said it like 5 times already. This
And I'm
was
gonna keep
not a
saying it because
joint
your comprehension level
task.
is low.
This was not a joint task. This was ICE going in.
It
Great,
was
got it.
ICE
There's
and
there's there's
DEA.
there's something she should
DEA
probably
was in
research, which
charge
is
of the
jurisdiction.
investigation. Why do you
Okay,
want
the
to
Yeah.
federal
understand
Yeah.
that?
government has.
Jurisdiction.
Excuse me,
Exactly.
excuse
You
me.
had
The federal
DEA, you had
government has
FBI, you had
jurisdiction. It
ATF,
doesn't
you had
need to
postal
partner with
They
local
inspectors,
they
law
didn't
you had
they
enforcement to
no
CID.
complete
they
a
no
raid.
that's a damn
Excuse
lie.
me,
That's a
excuse me,
lie.
That's
excuse
stupid,
me,
bro.
excuse
That's a
me. Let
lie.
me
No,
let
I'm
me
not gonna let you lie
finish.
to these people. That's a lie.
Let me finish. If you want to debate me, that's fine. Just
You're
let
not
me get
debatable
my
because you're a
point across.
dumbass.
That's fine. I'll be whatever you want me to be. That's not a problem. What I'm saying is the federal government doesn't need to check in with local law enforcement before they do a raid. Federal government has jurisdiction over all 50 states, point blank, period. If the federal government wants to go in and do a raid, they can. The reason why I propose the question is because there's a large and growing sentiment on the left that local law enforcement should not be participating with federal law enforcement and executing the duties and partnering with the federal. immigration customs enforcement to hand over people that are here illegally. Now, what she just said, which came as news to my ears because typically she's towing the liberal line and she's far to the left of the liberal progressive argument on these cases. But she made the argument that yes,
I'm
if
not to the
local law
left.
enforcement discovers individuals that are here illegally, they should be turned over to the federal authorities for deportation. Great. I'm glad to hear you say that because that's one sensible argument that I've heard on this topic in a long time that local law enforcement should be turning over individuals to the federal immigration and custom enforcement when they determine that the people are here illegally. You don't need to participate with local law enforcement for the federal government to execute raids. They have jurisdiction over all 50 states.
You don't need them. However, state and local authorities are involved with these for obvious reasons.
Jay, I
I think
suggest
especially,
you get
but
some
no, 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 no,
scholarship
no.
on this
Don't wait, wait,
topic
wait, wait,
before
wait.
you
Don't
try
Exactly.
and
don't go
opine
there.
on it,
Don't go there.
please.
Do not
Just
go
get some
there.
scholarship
Do
first
not
before you
no.
opine on it, because I will
Hey,
pack you
hey,
up again
TC,
if I have to.
TC, TC. This
I'm
is a
giving you
different
fair
J.
warning.
This is a different J. First of all, I would see you should do some background and experience with law enforcement. Anytime the federal law enforcement go in there, they do not need authorization. However, there is communication between the agencies. Okay, so I need you to understand that when any type of raid that goes in there, they set up perimeters. Any type of situation,
Wait, this
local
is a
law.
different Jay. This is not the same Jay from
No, no,
earlier.
this is it. Yeah, that's why you triggered.
Oh, my
So,
bad, bro. My bad.
but
So I
anytime
got triggered, bro.
but anytime you go in there, they use the local law enforcement to set perimeters up. So there's always some type of joint involvement with local law enforcement. So
Of course, they're going to communicate, right? They're going to communicate that they're executing a raid, but they don't have to use local law enforcement to raid anywhere. That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes people come on these stages and say stuff out of the side of their neck and they don't know what
Like
they're talking
you,
about.
because you're a
Oh, this wasn't a
dumbass.
joint task force. This wasn't a joint
Like
task
you,
force. This
because
wasn't a
you're a
joint task
dumbass.
force. It
It
just
was
needs to
not.
be
It was
said
not.
that you don't
It was
need to
not.
be a joint
It
task
was not.
force.
It
Just
was
because
ICE
you
doing it.
protest that you
It
need
was
to have a
ICE
joint
doing it.
task force doesn't make it right. You don't need it. The federal government has jurisdiction. You do not need local law enforcement. Point blank. Period. I don't even know why we're still discussing this.
I
Like this
think
is
the cop
this is
shows
incredibly
reason.
like
And
stupid.
you don't need to be a
Yeah,
ninja
you're
to
stupid.
come up
That's
where
why.
you are. Here
I
we
didn't
I
are.
say
think
you were
that all
stupid.
the
I said
cop
this is
shows though
stupid.
kind of
But
like
I'm saying
choose
you're stupid.
Rochelle.
I know you don't
Hey,
have a
but
clue
You know
what you're
how
talking
the
about half the time, so you just have to resort to
No,
insults.
you're the
It's
only
fine.
one.
That's
That's
how
why you
you
got your
engage in.
ass handed to you today when you tried to tell attorneys
Yep, I know.
what
Let's
they
go.
knew and
Let's
didn't
go.
know
Yeah, let's go.
because
Let's
you're
go.
because
He's
you're a
still wrong.
dumbass.
He's still
No,
wrong.
you're
You only
wrong.
need a
You were the only
hearing
one who was
and a
wrong.
notice to
You were the
get
only one who
deported.
was
You
wrong.
don't get
You were the only
substantive
one.
due
What is a
process.
hearing?
That's
Isn't
point blank.
is
Period.
a hearing not due process?
It doesn't even have to be a hearing. Actually,
Did you
it
did
has
you
to be an
did you no no
opportunity
no no
for a
you
hearing.
kept saying
It's
hearing
just an
all day
opportunity
long.
for a hearing.
And
Actually,
did he
if
not
you go
read
with
to
the text
you
of the
did
opinion,
he not
it's an
read to you the
opportunity for a
part of the
hearing.
statute that said that it had to happen on this side, not in another country? Although you kept
First off, it
saying
wasn't a statute. I'm not even going to
they
debate with you because
that
you
they
don't even know
don't.
what you're talking
You
about.
kept
It
saying
wasn't even a statute.
they don't have to give them a hearing in the United States. They can do it in the other country. Dumbass, they can't.
Huh. Okay. First of all, this was a joint raid with the DEI. I'm sorry, that's hilarious. My brain just did that.
We
DEA.
know where you're at. We know
It's a
where you're at.
Freudian slip, Bart.
Well,
Freudian slip.
I'm dyslexic.
We know where you're at.
I'm
We
sure they
know.
assigned their DEI,
It was a
DEA
Freudian
agents to
slip.
this and ICE. Okay, this place has been under investigation for months for gang activity, not only with Train Day, Iguana, and MS-13, but also the Hells Angels. It's known for a distribution center for drugs, including pink cocaine. And what was the other one?
Prostitution.
Regular
Prostitution.
cocaine.
Huh? Well, I had a
Regular cocaine, both cocaine and pink cocaine.
cocaine, crack, P cocaine has been seized there as well as prostitution and other violent crimes. But the most important part is there was
Yeah,
a
Bart, they throwing
dozen
me down
or
to the goo. If you don't mind, I'd like to finish my submission when you're
that
done.
won't stop it from happening again. But most importantly, there was 12, maybe it was a dozen or more, it said, U.S. service members
We
that
know
were
that, Bart.
okay.
We know
All right.
that. We said that. That's what we talked about earlier. They
What,
returned.
5
They
hours
they
ago when you
they
were
were turned
arguing
over
somewhere else?
to the military.
Huh? That I mean,
Go
I
ahead and
know what
finish.
happened
Let them
to him,
finish.
but I know what happened, but don't you think that's a potential issue? If this is a known trafficking of gang activity, and I mean, I don't see, and the DEI, wow, my dyslexia is going
Freudian
crazy.
slip.
We understand where you're at. We see where you're at, bro.
What do you
Go ahead.
mean? You see where
You're
we're
in
at?
D.
Respect my
You say.
spectrum.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. We see. We see.
I
I'm
respect your
fucking
spectrum.
dyslexic. Once
I
I do
respect your
something, I'll never
spectrum,
get it
Bart.
wrong. The DEA has been investigating this place for months. Okay. It's an underground illegal club. It's known for criminal activity. It got fucking raided. Don't be somewhere after midnight, like my parents used to say. I mean, if you're gonna, that's not a good. I mean, whatever.
No,
You
yeah,
shouldn't be at it. You
they have
shouldn't be at a
undergrounds
place that's
everywhere.
illegal if you don't want to get in trouble.
They have underground clubs everywhere, not just in
They have
Colorado, where
underground
all
child
this stuff,
trafficking places everywhere.
all this
What's
stuff
fucking
is
wrong is
happening,
wrong.
and what have you. But again, they found two people who had warrants out for themselves out of
That
all those
is
people.
that they have not released all the information on the people, and you know that.
They released look, your good Pam. That's what she said. So go holler at her. Okay.
One
Someone
thing that
said
these people
only
that did
two.
get arrested did get. They all have gotten their due process. So now these people weren't just hustled off in the middle of the night and shipped off on an airplane and head skint and put into a prison somewhere. That wasn't what happened. They're in Colorado still. They're going to see a judge. They're going to get their due process, and that's the right way to do it. Now, if they end up deporting these people, well, they've done it the right way. That's all. That's it. Just do it right. The cocaine and stuff alone, if you're black with over an ounce of cocaine, that could be half your life in prison where I'm from. So if you got pink cocaine and amphetamines and white coke and pounds of marijuana or whatever you got there, uh, just walking around as a black man where I'm from, that's an automatic 20 to 30 years in prison.
Well, where I'm
Right?
from, we end up snorting it all instead of
Right. I know
selling
because
it to you
we
guys.
know where you're at. We know where you're at, and we
Wait, Barb,
understand
did
DEA.
I understand you to say that this was in fact a joint task force?
It 100% was. In fact, Mr.
Wait, Barf,
PC,
you gotta be kidding me. You mean to tell me this
DEA
woman came on this stage as the wailing woman of the left and protested so much, and she was actually wrong? This was a
this
joint.
place was under
That wasn't the
investigation
case.
for
It was an
months.
ICE. It
This
was
was
an
a
ICE
joint
case.
Hey, can
task
I
It
get
force
one
was
when
real
not.
quick,
she
guys?
said
ICE
it
and
wasn't a
DEA
joint task
convinced.
Ray, are they
force.
hearing us on the other side?
Let me go pull it up. Hold on.
Oh, I almost said you can pull this up. That would have been inappropriate. But you'll clearly
Yeah, that
see.
would have been inappropriate,
I
Bart.
didn't say it. It would have been inappropriate. That's why I didn't say that you can
We
pull
see
this
where
up.
you're at. We see where
So
you're
this
at.
was a joint task force with ICE and the
The
DEA,
DEA has been
Hold on,
investigating
Haitian.
this place well before.
jurisdiction in investigating
The
narcotics,
DEA is
and,
another federal agency, so stop it.
they
You
have
think they need the
jurisdiction.
county
They've
sheriff
been
there?
investigating narcotics. What are you talking about? Are you dense?
No, you're dense, dumb fuck. If you heard what I said originally, I said that if the local authorities had known that there was an
What the hell does
underground,
the local
that
authorities
there
have to
was
do?
an
The FBI
underground.
executes raids
Shut up,
all the
dumbass.
time.
I
You don't
said,
need local
well, yep,
authorities.
yep. You're.
Are
Are
you
you gonna?
dense? Are you
No, I'm
like,
gonna show you how
what's
dense I
wrong
am.
with you?
Hold on
Like,
for a
Oh,
it's a
she's gonna
second.
joint
push you
task
down.
force.
Hey, but listen, she's kind of
Because your
proving her
dumb
point
ass didn't
wrong.
Stop
listen to what
muting
I
me.
said.
Stop muting me because you're so feeble minded that you can't engage.
Okay, guys, we have a few people on Clubhouse
TC
that
the
would like to
Oreo lover.
speak, please. Go ahead,
Go
Haitian.
ahead, Clubhouse.
Yeah, so real quick, as much as I don't like agreeing with TC, it was definitely was a joint task force. It wasn't just ICE. It was DEA.
Hey, somebody's gonna have to get a hold of her because
It
and
wa-
like
it, it was
TC, hold
DEA.
on just a second, please.
straighten her
Bro, you
out
need to
because
get
she
a
keeps
hold of
sending me to the
yourself and
goo,
shut the hell
and I
up
think
and maybe
With your
be
dumb ass,
quiet.
I'm not doing
Jonathan
Wait,
was
that.
wait, wait,
I'm
wait,
not.
wait,
cleared
wait.
that
One
that's
mic,
not to happen.
Excuse
one
So
me.
mic. No muting and sending to the goo. You guys complain when it happens to you. You guys stop it.
Excuse me. Haitian was speaking on Clubhouse.
Go ahead.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
go ahead. 1 second.
Don't
When I'm
address him by his
speaking,
name.
one second. 1 second. Yeah, guys, when I'm speaking, I don't mind. I don't like whoever's speaking. They're gonna have to wait. So anyway, yeah, no more muting or kicking to the goo. All right, because I'm in here trying to figure out what was going on with Ice because someone was kicking him. I have a problem with that. I actually have.
And someone kicked me too, Jonathan.
Okay. So once again, I have a problem with any of that. It's not. It's the curation of the show is up to me. Go ahead, Ch.
Yeah, so it was definitely coordinated. That's why it was just local law enforcement to go in there. It was an investigation that was being conducted for months. It was led by DEA. ICE was involved. Postal inspectors were involved. FBI was involved. ATF was involved, and so was CID. Now, Bart, as far as them
Great
saying
day in the morning. Good.
now,
Thank
now
you so much for that piece of information. So we
Yo,
found out
TC, mute
yo,
up. The man's still
he
talking.
he was
No, no,
done,
no, no, no,
Jonathan. He was.
no, no, no.
oh, thanks for
Listen to
telling
me.
me I was done, TC, because I wasn't fucking done.
Okay, yo, bro, mute up. Go ahead.
And to board, as far as having U.S. soldiers over there, they're off duty. The shit out like this happens all the time. As far as U.S. soldiers working in places they shouldn't be or hanging out in places they shouldn't be. Right. So the location of that club is literally 8 miles away from Fort Carson. So it's not hard to believe that you're gonna have people there that are in the military working there, making extra money illegally or whatever the case may be. So that's why CID.
Colorado Springs is the most conservative military town
Mute
in
up. The
Arkansas.
fuck. Hey, guys. Anyone interrupt this guy again? Anyone speaks from Clubhouse? Someone interrupts him. Kick him out of the room. Kick him out of the room. I'm serious. Anyone from Clubhouse is interrupted. Kick the person out of the room. All right, because you guys mess up the listening experience. Because when people in Clubhouse speaks, it's hard for us to hear when you guys start speaking. So please kick them out of the room and block them. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just the land, like I said, Fort Carson is right over there, and to whoever the person that said that it's a conservative, most conservative, that doesn't make a fucking difference in a military town. You got people come from all over the world, all over the country, so you can have different personalities, different types of situations. You literally have fucking Crips and Bloods and different gangs, white supremacist gangs in the military. So it is what it is.
Uh,
Is the dude with the long pauses done speaking, Jonathan, so we can speak?
well, no,
I would
hold
hate to
on.
be accused of interrupting
Yo,
somebody that
bro, one
takes a
second,
five
man.
second
One
breath.
second.
DC.
Okay.
Can I point out something, Bing? That there is a
Real
delay
is
from
handling it.
Clubhouse. It's
No,
okay.
no, no, no. Real is handling this. She said people from Clubhouse wants to speak, and they're speaking right now. Go ahead, Real.
Thank you.
Re-
Okay, Haitian, you landed, right? Is there anyone
Yeah, now I'm
else?
done. Thanks.
I think the other guy left.
No, I'm back.
T?
I'm
Okay,
back. Thank
okay.
you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we just have to really have some type of decorum with TC because we've been trying to speak so long that I forgot the point I wanted to make. But he interrupted everyone over there, everyone over here. He
Bro, don't have a
interrupted
bitch
the
fest over
he,
me, all right?
he
Say your point. Keep
interrupted
my
the
name out your
woman.
mouth.
He
God damn it.
interrupted the woman that was speaking, and then when he was speaking and she interrupted him, he said she needs to have decorum after just interrupting her 5 times. I've never seen such a childish tirade of someone cosplaying as if they have manners and decorum. It's sad. You're an imbecile, and you need to get your shit together.
Yep, sassy ass.
Y'all done? Is this beat up TC hour? Because I will defend myself. And I don't care how much hollering Jonathan.
So
Please,
just hold
please
on.
stop trying to sound like Nelson.
Here.
TC, you don't sound like Nelson. You sound like a
Is
weirdo.
that Schmakey?
Is
Oh
that a bitch
no.
made crackhead?
Yeah, you the
Okay.
bitch made crap.
Come show me your missing toe, Schmakey. I've always wondered what that looks like.
You look like a hillbilly impoverished. You know what? Let me stop it Sunday. You talking a lot of shit for that PTR.
How many months to live do you have? You good?
Yeah, I'm glad the liberals are manifesting on this stage tonight. Clearly, there's a lot of them. Clearly, we're provoking them. Clearly, they don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. They just got smacked down. Somebody said, "This was not a joint task force. This was not a joint task force," screaming to the top of her lungs, only to be shut the hell up with the facts, which typically happens in these rooms. But you can't get the facts out because they're too busy screaming to the top of their lungs. The self appointed wailing woman for the liberal left got smacked down on the stage today, and now she's on mute after she got done telling
PC.
everybody else they was a dumbass when she was the one that was proven to be the open dumbass on the stage. Give me a break, you liberals. Are you guys tired of losing yet? God damn, read a book. Open a Google search before you come off mic with that halitosis breath.
Do you get
TC
your dick
is it
sucked every
intelligent?
day?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Goodness
Come on,
sins
TC.
for
God damn.
No,
halitosis
No,
Why
and
are
let
you?
essential
let me
audio
Why are
ads
you
clarify.
is
so
crazy.
Let me
aggressive with
clarify,
it,
Jamal.
TC?
Like I said
no, you
earlier,
must get your dick sucked every
There's
time
only
you say
one place to
he
deal
liberal.
with
doesn't
these
Hey,
he
hey,
doesn't
liberals. You
have
have to
that.
put them
Let
in
me
the.
ask
You have to
He
put
Liberal
them
doesn't
in
a
their
have
question
that.
place. So you
because
have to.
He doesn't
These
have that.
Oh
liberals,
my
Problem.
these
God.
far
Shut
left
up, TC.
progressive crazed
One mic, people.
cannot stand it when
Y'all
they get
sound like a
smacked down, and
hot
so
mess.
every
Let the mic
smackdown they
breathe.
get.
Shut this sassy ass crackhead up. He keeps running his damn mouth.
Let
Weirdo,
the
be
mic breathe.
quiet.
Yeah.
Thought I was a crackhead.
If you know your fucking wife don't want to hear your ass, you know we don't want to hear your ass either. Shut up. Damn.
Can
Hey,
we get
Bart.
back to the content?
Bart, you're the cracker.
That's right.
Mm.
Wow. It's getting interesting. Yo, all I'm saying is just let the mic breathe a little bit. Let it pass around a little bit. TC, you're very intelligent and articulate. We know
Actually, he's
that.
not.
We
Like
see
I
we
said,
see that he's intelligent, but you don't have to. Oh, you're giving a real overkill with the shit. Really, I mean, let the mic breathe, bro. Let the conversation build, man. We got 100 motherfuckers in here. Let motherfuckers speak a little bit.
like I said earlier, is that if the local authorities knew that an underground club was being operated, then they should have gone in, and that they should have been the ones to shut them down.
You got to echo real.
The joint task force that they're speaking of was federal agencies. That's the difference of what I was speaking about earlier. But dumbass TC, who Google everything and Chat GBT everything, wants to come off his mic with his little penis.
Did you ever think that the federal agents got called in because the local government wasn't doing their job? They had multiple arrests, multiple times. They knew the trafficking of drug stuff, and it kept happening. And then it got out that, oh shit, some of our military is working where terrorists, that's right, I said it, terrorists like MS-13, trained day
Are you
iguana.
saying tariffs, you country Bama crackhead? No, we can't even
Bart,
understand what the fuck you're
Excuse me,
saying.
I'm from Mississippi.
Enunciate.
Bart,
I
You
don't
still
care
should
that
know
What
you
how
part
to
of
don't slept
speak.
with
Mississippi
your
you
You
from?
should
sister.
know how to
You from
let
speak.
me
Jackson?
let me ask Bart a question. Bart,
Go
so
ahead.
Wait, what part of
so
Mississippi
Pam,
you from, Birth?
your
You
DOJ
from
Pam
Jackson?
came out and
Oxford,
said,
God's country.
Knoxville
Oh,
Johnson?
Oxford,
Bart,
hour south of
Oh, we
Memphis.
can't hear you
Oxford.
over the
Oxford.
wailing woman. I'm sorry.
He's from Oxford. He's from Oxford.
Bart,
The
you're
white.
good.
It's a real white area.
Bart,
That's right.
Pam from DOJ came out and said that they arrested two people. There were two people with warrants. So
Uh-huh.
what is this terrorists and all of this that where are you getting that from, Bart? Because that's not what she said.
Okay.
So where are you getting from?
Were there members of Trey Day Iguana and MS-13 arrested?
Aragua.
Pam Pam specifically
Can
said
somebody
who
Ah,
still
please
had.
ah, ah,
She
ah.
specifically said who had the
Were
warrants. What I'm saying is, did
listen,
she
those
say?
were two big
Did she?
grabs they found.
Did
Those son of a
Pam
guns.
say that there were terrorists that were there? Is that what Pam said, Bart?
Did Pam say that
Where are
they
you getting your
arrested?
information from? That's the question.
Okay. There were known. I'll tell you right now. I have it right here. How many were
No,
members?
what did
Oh
Pam,
my
the
God, this
DOJ
is
lady,
Greg, Day,
painful.
take a
Don't they have to
breath.
do due
what did Pam, the
process
DOJ
for
lady
that?
say?
to
She
know.
said two. Are you? I've heard you say it. Two were
No, go
arrested
read
and
it.
not prior
But did she
charges.
say that there were terrorists there?
But
That's
I'll
what I keep
take.
asking you.
y-
Did
Uh,
she say it?
I haven't seen what she said, but
Okay,
I
that's
know
all I
that
wanted
they
to
were
know.
train day iguanas arrested at MS-13, and those are fucking terrorists.
Bart, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
I think all
Well,
that
hold on.
gel has
And
sucked
you're
down
go
into your
on. I'm not
brain.
ready for you, Schminky. Put your big
I
toes in
hope
your
you don't
mouth,
go near a goddamn
Michelle.
fire or a cigarette because your
Yes,
ass
babe.
gonna light up like the fucking 4th of July or that goddamn flame retardant on your head.
That's
Jesus
right.
Christ.
Oh, you're just jealous because I got more hair than you. That's right. I said it.
That shit doesn't even move, bro.
That's right. It's
You got
fucking
just as many
amazing hair.
waves on your face as you do in your fucking hair.
Come on. Hey, come on, camera, mouth. Come on,
Oh,
mouth.
you trying to get a little mouthy? But
No, give her
I
mouth.
hit a
I'm
little
saying I
sore
love
spot.
somebody with
Your
a
little
Yes,
big
mouse
Mel.
ass
box,
fucking
bitch.
mouth that's afraid to show their face because you're
Why am
missing
I
You
your
show
afraid?
big
her
If
face,
toe.
I
she's
looked like
hideous,
you,
bro.
I'd be afraid to show my face too, you fucker.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, y'all.
How
Come
much ad
on.
lib can we
We're
take,
not in high
please?
school.
Well, I was
And
talking
then
to
it's like
Raquel
Y'all need to
45
We
mute
are
her
He
real.
because
reads
all
We
she
like
does
he's
we've
is
in
all
come on
been
the
fucking
stage and
pre-K
certified.
just spread
though.
a whole bunch of.
He literally reads like he's in pre-K, much less hot. Let me read what I'm trying to
You know,
say
this is
with
the
a
devolution hour, real.
Jonathan gonna whoop
illiterate
y'all's
ass.
ass.
What he gonna do, real?
Can we do like
He
some
gonna whoop
news
you.
with
He
the
gonna whoop y'all's
roasting?
ass.
he
Every
gonna
single one of you.
he gonna whoop our ass, real.
I don't want to get caught in the middle of it.
Is
That's a
he crying
whole
off
bunch.
camera?
It's a
Is
whole
he
bunch I
crying?
want to say. No, he ain't crying. You know he ain't.
Look like his ass
He's
crying.
no, he's getting his cape and stuff together.
Rochelle, stop putting me in the audience, you
TC,
dumb widget.
you're not even that important to me, sweetie. If I will remove you from the room before I put you in the audience.
You
Trust and believe.
lucky, you
All right,
Trust
lucky
and
you
believe
got
me,
a
all right,
dumbass.
liberal
Schmicky.
left
Trust and
agenda
believe,
wall to
dumbass.
protect you.
Trust and
If
believe,
trust and
dumbass. I
believe,
will
if there was
remove
a
you from the
fair
room
room,
before I
your
send
ass
you
would
down in
be
the audience,
so fucking
dumbass.
sorry you wouldn't even be able to
Dumbass.
just stand up.
Oh,
Wouldn't even be able to stand up and debate,
Little
bro.
penis,
Like
dumbass.
I don't know why they protect you. Like you guys put the weakest ones out in front. Why do you guys do
The
that?
only weak
Like
person
the
is you
one
with
that's
your dumbass.
flailing and flopping around like a washed up. You guys are just gonna let her continue to
you
bloviate
are
on the
so
stage.
lame. You're so lame. Did
What
you just
what
get a
what what you
dictionary or
I'm not
something?
talking to you. I won't talk to you
His
because you
penis is
you're
little. That's
clearly
why
the
he acts
That's
that
lamest
way.
one.
right.
I
With the
just don't
little
get it. Which
self.
one is
A
lamer?
little small man.
What's wild is the third grade insult with the word bloviate. You contain
I love you,
multitudes,
Allison.
TB,
It was it
TC.
was it was brilliant actually. It was a
That's
pretty
the best
good
you
use
can
of
do,
words
Allison. He's
actually.
probably jacking off now.
With
Washed up
with
well,
with his
bloviate. That's
with
pretty
his
good.
He's a
with his
jacking
thumb.
off jerk.
With his thumb.
Listen to these women desecrate themselves, guys. One mic on you guys.
No, we're
Spell
desecrating
desecrate.
you.
Spell it.
This is the image of the black woman today,
It's
folks.
you.
This is
It's
you guys are
you.
listening to it. This is
Oh,
your
now you want
average
It's
to
black
talk
you.
about
woman.
black women?
Everybody
It's
take a listen
you.
to these degenerates.
Yeah, the image of the black
Degenerate.
woman on your ass
This is
because
why I
you
don't
are the
come here
only
anymore. This is
degenerate,
exactly why.
dumbass.
At least we're not trying to sound like Nelson and Grant Cardone combined in one. Do you know how fucking
Yo,
weird you
yo,
sound trying to sound like both of them? It's like every 5 minutes, TC is like, "Do I emulate Nelson or do I emulate Grant? I
nah,
don't know. I
Miki.
don't
Don't
know. I don't
remember
know."
anytime I
Hey,
ever
yo,
invoked either one of their names, but they're talking on me so much. I don't know what it
Bro,
is that
you
I
think we
do.
can't
I
tell
can't
their
help
You
it,
signature
though. I
sound
style?
guess
like you're
they can't help
imitating
themselves.
Rochelle a
Barf, are
bit,
you listening
Miki,
to
but
bro? This is
that's
crazy, bro.
Oh, look
These
at this.
these
This
it's
is
women,
your
they ought
crazy.
to
part.
You're
be ashamed.
literally
How do
trying
they
to
wake
sound
up
like
and look in the
Nelson, you
mirror in the
weirdo.
morning? Nobody ever asked for them. Nobody called for them.
How do you wake up? I
Nobody,
mean,
nobody,
you're a
nobody
guy that
snapped
mess
their
with women
fingers and
for a
said,
living. That's
"Come."
what you do.
Like, why are they
You
here?
are
This
a
is the crazy
minuscule
part.
punk man.
Let's get
All you
back
do
to the
is fuck with
topic. I
women
mean,
like a
you
little
guys are
girl
Please,
constantly
with a
degrading
little
TC.
thumb
yourselves.
penis.
Yes,
Little
Constantly
girl.
degrading
TC.
yourselves.
A
We're over
little
you.
girl with a thumb
Let's
penis.
continue.
That's what you do.
I'm literally about to go bonkers, you guys. Like, four of you insulting each other like you're in second
I'm not
grade.
insult. Did I insult
D-
them? I never
You
insulted
have
them.
been doing
It's
it
their arguments.
with
I
all
never insulted
all
them.
four of you for like
No,
10
don't say
minutes.
Forbius.
Allison,
Don't
No,
say
admonish
English
Forbius.
yourself.
is the insult. Hello,
Admonish
let's
yourself,
get
You
that
guys are
Allison.
off
right.
the hook
He is
tonight.
the insult.
I generally don't do these second grade weird roasting type insults that
So
make
stay out
me.
of the way. Move out of the way then.
So
Move
I
out of the
guess
way.
that's what you
Get
guys want
out
to
the,
do for
the
the rest of
movie.
the
Move
night.
out of the
Have
way,
the fuck
Allison.
at it.
Rochelle, you are the last person to tell anybody to move out of the way.
TC, shut up
Okay.
with your dumb
I'm
self.
sorry.
With your dumb, illiterate self. All you can do is get drunk and come on this app and use
I'm sorry.
Chat.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Debate the News.
I mean,
We need you to
Jerry
do us a favor.
Springer
Go ahead and
show,
download
one or
this
the
podcast.
other.
Al, you just interrupted a flawless step in plug. So you go do it. Go
Please
ahead.
pronounce all the letters in the word, sir. Thank you.
Huh?
Do you
I
not
can't
think
hear
it's
your
a little
mouth.
more like Jerry Springer, Barth?
What?
For the last 10 minutes, don't you think it was Jerry
Allie,
Springerish, Barth?
please shut the fuck up. Respectfully. What'd you say, mouth? I was talking to you.
Respectfully, you tell a woman to shut the fuck up and then you say respectfully?
Yeah,
Really?
that's kind of how
Who
Really?
you
told
talk.
her
That
to
you
He
think
shut
that's
the
doesn't
fuck
acceptable?
up?
calculate
That's why
irony in his
everyone who's
head.
leaving chat no, that's why everyone's leaving chatter. That's why I left. People like you. Grant thinks he can talk to women any way he wants because he has money, because he contributed to the app. TC, I don't even know what to say about you. But Barth, you're just an ass.
Let it rip.
I
Carry
apologize.
on.
Hang out about another 2 nights and you'll be
Oh,
telling
now
Mouth
you're
No,
to
okay
just
shut
with
the
grow
it,
the
fuck
Allie.
up
fuck
too.
up. Treat women with respect.
I will do no such
Yes,
thing.
that.
Look how his
Hey, bro,
head keeps
I
bobbing,
want to know, Bart,
to
where'd you
the
get your
side because
flag
you got too
from?
much
Did you buy
goddamn
that? Or
guilt
was that
there.
given to you?
It's weighing your
Was that
big
given to
ass
you?
head down.
A nice
Wh-
flag, Barf. Where'd you get it
Where'd you
from?
get it from? Did you buy it?
I got it at Harbor Freight.
It was
Harbor
made in
Freight.
China.
Okay, okay, all right. That's yeah. I shop at Harbor Freight too.
And I like your background, Barf. That looks really cool, man.
Did
I
y'all
saw the
really
chatter
ask him
logo
where
in the
he got a
background. It
goddamn
was pretty
American
cool.
flag from?
Honestly, I wish we had more
At
topics
least it
about
has the
business
right
and
amount of
debate the
stars in
news,
it, Bart.
and we could debate the business news of the world. You know,
Debate the
because a lot of this
halitosis.
stuff is, yeah, a lot of this stuff is pertinent. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world today,
How
especially
do
with
you
the
know about
Pope's
Rochelle's?
funeral and that type of thing.
How do you know about Rochelle's halitosis personally, TC? Is
I
it a
mean, you
little
can
Oh, let,
smell
romance
it
oh,
through
let me
this
tell you
happening?
app.
something
It's
about me.
rank.
Well, let me
You
tell you
can't
something.
help it. It's
My
pretty cool
father
though.
was an
Hey, I will
upstanding
tell you,
man
Barf,
who
you've got a
served this
beautiful
country,
flag in the
and my father
background,
was no
and those
coward
markers.
like TC's father was a coward from TC's mouth. That's why he fussed
Did
with
you
women
kiss
because
him,
he's a coward that
Rochelle?
his
I
father,
wonder.
that he
I
claimed his
wonder if
father
next week
was.
brings
He is
more
a
terror
coward, just
activity
like
to
he
that.
say his dad
We
was.
have a lot
That's why
more
he
news
fussed with
coming up in the
women because
future.
he's a little
We've got
girl
Trump
with a
making moves
small
on
thumb
tariffs. You got
penis.
Ukraine.
Little
You've
boy,
got put Putin
little
and
boy,
Vladimir Putin in
you're a
Russia.
coward. That's why
We've
you
got a
fuss
lot
with
of news
women
Planet
going on,
because
Earth.
you're a coward.
and I'd like to
Just like
talk
you
about
say,
the.
We're gonna stop right now because here's the deal, guys. This is a podcast, and you guys don't give a fuck that it's not your podcast. You guys go back and forth like kids. All right, people are listening to this. They don't want to hear that bullshit what y'all doing right now.
Jonathan, you can hear me. This is Jen. This is Dr. Jen.
Go ahead, Dr. Jen.
No, Jonathan,
Hey, I
don't say
have a new
y'all
account
because I
here.
was
Yo,
talking
yo,
about the
bro, do not.
news
No,
and she kept
I'm
going.
having a
Don't say
conversation,
y'all.
TC.
well, you're the
TC,
one
don't do
insulting
that.
people.
1 second, 1 second. Because, see, now I'm going to start removing people. Like I said, it's a podcast. The listeners had to listen to that bullshit already. Go ahead, Dr. Jen.
Yeah. I'm in this room. I respect you. This is a new account for me, first of all. Second of all, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is why I left Chatter. I would love to come back to Chatter. I mean, I miss certain parts of it, but this is ridiculous. And I mean, you always had such control over the rooms when I was there, but this something's happened.
Yeah,
So
I
I mean, I don't,
apologize to you, Dr.
I
Jen.
can't sign.
Once
It's not.
again,
I
I
mean,
turned the
I
room over,
appreciate it, but
and I was surprised. I'm disappointed to hear that this shit as well. And it's on a podcast that goes out to the rest of the world, and they don't care. They don't care. They rather settle their personal shit in front of everyone. They don't care. They don't care how they
well, you know
present
the
it. They
respect
don't
that I
care that
have for
AI.
you
They
in a
don't care that
relationship.
AI is going to be hearing this shit and picking it up pretty soon, and you're going to be able
Exactly.
to find this shit. They don't care.
And they also don't care that it's reflecting on you directly, you and
Yes.
Nelson. So then what are you going to do about that?
No,
Because
don't
I
worry.
want to, I
It's
want
getting
to come
handled, but
back. I do
don't worry
want to
about
come
it.
back.
When Read Two's coming out, don't worry about it. But Dr. Jen, I appreciate you coming up and saying that because I'm laying here listening to it because I actually was doing something else. I was doing some research, and I left the room. My profile left the room. I came back in to that. So
Well,
once
I
again,
had Morris Hayes, and I just want you to know the effect it's having, because Morris, we did it on TikTok for Prince's for his anniversary of his death. Just last week we did it on TikTok. We wanted to take it to Chatter. We were gonna have Mike Ice, and because I brought Mike to Chatter. I was the one that brought him on there, and we wanted to do it there, but I haven't even felt comfortable bringing Morris onto the app because of this, and I would have loved to. I mean, you know who Morris is. He was Prince's
Morris
music
Day.
director, played with him for, right, well, no, not Morris Day, Morris Hayes. He was Prince's musical director for,
Um,
yeah, for
well,
20 years or what
Damn,
have you.
Jonathan,
But,
you don't know who Morris is?
one second, guys. Listen to me. Once again, um, yeah, yeah. I'm embarrassed that you even said you had to say what you had to say. I am
well, I'm saying it
because
in love for
one
you, though,
second,
because I care about you.
just one, because this back and forth, it's not entertaining, and they don't care that it's a freaking podcast that goes out to everyone. They don't care. There's no such thing as decorum. They don't. There's no like, hey, I'll use my intellect to to deal with this. They rather deal with insults, and all this other shit. And then and people all over the world hear people that look like them arguing like this shit. Look like me arguing, and further perpetuating some bullshit when they can handle. We try to have highly intellectual conversations, and every time when I turn around, I'll leave. It goes back and forth to this shit. And it's like they don't stop unless someone say, "Hey, you guys have to stop." There's no self fucking control. I'm sorry.
Can I take the opportunity to apologize for
No,
something?
no,
Okay.
no.
No? Okay.
No, fuck that. I think you need to name names,
Yo,
Jonathan.
yo, bro, yo,
You
don't
need
do
to
that.
name
Don't,
names,
yo,
bro.
bro. Listen to me,
Jonathan, you need to
TC.
name names. Don't
TC,
just say
what I
they.
need to
Be
do is
clear.
TC. What I need to do is I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, bro, you don't get it, man. I will fucking ban your ass, okay, for the sake of the podcast. I will fucking bar you and block you for the sake of the podcast. Don't do that shit while I'm talking. It's disrespectful as fuck. I've yet to disrespect you one time. You can save that theatrical shit, okay, for everyone else. I'm gonna do a hard reset, man, because I'm sorry, because I'm gonna end this shit right here because I'm doing a hard reset because of yeah, because it's freaking embarrassing and probably give her this whole fucking episode. So yeah, at this point in time, I'm gonna do a hard reset, folks. You guys are gonna probably find yourselves out in the hallway because this is ridiculous. It's embarrassing, and it's crazy that we have to get our content. We have to get rid of it because people don't know how to freaking like deal with things a certain way. So, guys, if you guys are over any other platform, you guys are gonna find yourselves in the hallway for about 5 seconds, and then I'll bring you back. I'll 5 seconds doing a hard reset, and that's what we're gonna do right now. So that's where I'm at with it, folks. So an episode that we can't use because of bullshit. That's the last time it's ever gonna happen. I promise you.